Hello, happy Monday. I hope wherever you're at, it has been good weather. We have been hot, considering the end of September, first part of October, and windy the last couple of days. We got a cold front coming in with some rain and thunderstorms tomorrow, and then much cooler weather for the next 7 to 10 to 14 days, which is fantastic. As much as I like tank tops, it is time for some fall weather. Sorry about that. I keep hitting that. Go over a couple of things. Just got some soil health test results back, as well as total nutrient digestion results on pasture ground, grazing ground. Working with a rancher on some different things. And it got me to thinking that as we head into harvest, get that rolling, as you're riding in tractors, combines, trucks, whatever it is that you're doing, chatting with your input suppliers on how yields are doing, I think we need to really step back for a lot of reasons, but there needs to be some hardcore evaluations on your inputs through the growing season. And I'm going to talk more specifically today on fertility and what that may or may not look like. Again, these are rangeland. This particular field that we're going to do some trials on, which I'm not going to get into those details quite yet, but years ago, like 30, 40 years ago, this particular field that we did a total nutrient digestion report or a sample on was row crop at one point for a handful of years. A few things kind of show up on the soil health side of things with that, some definite difference in the pH on where we're going to use product and where we're going to leave a spot as a untreated or a control. And we'll come back in and do some resampling, but I really, really like this total nutrient digestion report for both of these pieces, but just in general. And I think that that's something that more people need to be more aware of when it comes to soil samples and as your input supplier, your agronomist, your consultant, whatever goes out, be asking them what kind of samples or where they're going with their soil samples, what lab, and the process. Because the more I learn about soil science, the more I learn about the industry, a lot of the, I don't want to call it like false claims, but basically false claims within the industry on your fertility, primarily your commercial fertilizers. There's just a lot of orange and red flags flying for me in how things are done on a large scale. These particular tests are a little bit more expensive, but the data and the information that we get from them is priceless. Now, we've got some crazy numbers. What the total nutrient digestion does is it takes and looks at the full-blown, what is the bank that you have built up? What is the total amount in the checking account, the savings account, the CDs, whatever it is that you want to call it, in your soil bank for total pounds per acre of nutrients. This does not mean plant available, just total pounds. And they're insane eye-opening numbers. And with these kind of numbers, then we can start having that conversation of, now we go to the soil health side, and those soil health results that we pulled and had run from these same samples. We sent in enough soil to have soil health tests run with these TND samples, and we've got the total bank, and then we have on the soil health side, what is the plant able to see? Then we can start looking at, okay, for instance, we've got on this one sample 2,500 pounds of nitrogen, but our soil health on this particular spot on number 1, what the plant sees is only 34 pounds. what do we need to do to get more of that 2,500 pounds plant available, plant utilizing? And then, everything else that goes into that, phos, potassium, calcium, the whole 9 yards. Calcium on this particular 4,200 pounds, but the plant is only seeing 367 parts per million. And I don't know the conversion on that, but that's neither here nor there in what I'm going at here. What I'm getting at is myself and this business, we are moving away from traditional soil sampling done with just the generic chemical extraction soil samples. We're going to do things soil health. We're going to look at total nutrient digestion. Excuse me. And we're going to start having those tough conversations and those good to excellent conversations on how do we get more of this to show up on the soil health that's actually plant available. What's our lowest stave in our barrel of preventing that from happening? Perhaps that comes down to utilizing service crops, cover crops. We're also changing our terminology there into service crop versus cover crop, because those plants that we're putting out there after our row crop, after our commodity crop, need to be providing a service back to us, not just holding the soil down like what some people just use it for. That's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. That is a great starting point, but we got to be putting different things out there based on these kinds of analysis and information. We have learned so much this summer. I've had so many amazing conversations with growers and producers. A few things are starting to change, and a lot more conversations on reducing inputs, and as well as maybe not always increasing yield, because it comes down to productivity. And of course, there's a bazillion different biologicals out there, and this doing that and this doing that, and we're working with growers that are utilizing all of those different kinds of things. We're working with a company that has those kinds of things, and I think that's tremendous in that people are starting to relearn or learn for the first time our biology. Our biology is the name of the game, and those little bugs out there can bring us a lot of nutrients, and we can start eliminating some of the problems that we're seeing. We're seeing weeds that are taking over. We're seeing frustration on herbicides or fungicides not working. We've got, in our part of the world, we have places with really bad nematodes, especially corn nematodes. And, so what do we need to be doing to address those things? And it all comes back to soil health and what's going on out there in the bigger scale than just our regular generic soil samples that we're pulling. But was just really excited that these results came back. Surprised at some of the numbers, particularly on the soil health side of things. Especially a couple of pHs really surprised me. And but in the grand scheme of things, particularly the last couple samples that we pulled, a little more clay, lower ground or wetter type meadow kind of scenario. So I expected the pH to be high, just didn't expect it to be quite that high. And that's going to be one of the things that we have a conversation with this particular producer about is, okay, what does that mean? What is that tying up? And what do we need to do different to address that and make things such as phosphorus more plant available instead of it getting tied up? We have a really high part per million on calcium, but everything else is super duper low, which it comes back to that pH. So, what do we need to do? Do we need to go in and interseed? Do we need to put on some type of biological? Just what is it? But again, holler if anything. Oh, this darn thing if anything intrigues you, if you have any questions. And sorry about that quick. This new little tripod gimbal thing that I've got has been giving me fits. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great day and great rest of your week. And we will catch up with you soon.